the impetus of this script? Is it because like one day you're looking at your buddy and you're like, I'm going to write a little story about our love, or was it something like?
No. No, I think it's just the older I got, the more I realized how hard it is to make friends as an adult. And also that there's no rules. You don't meet a guy you want to hang out with, and you don't know if you wait 2 days to call him or text him. There's so many sort of methods of communication now that I found, it's really hard to make friends when you get older. So I wanted to kind of write about that.
Is it hard to kind of sustain friendships with guys at a certain age now? Do you feel because people have moved on or they have wives and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think the older you get, the more ensconced you are in your work or your family. So it is hard to just, go out for a beer, go to a movie with somebody that you used to hang out with every night when you were in college or high school.
And this whole concept of the man zone, or this kind of space where they can...
The man cave.
The man cave. Do you have something like that in your home, or what is the equivalent of a man cave?
Well, I live in New York, so we don't have a lot of space for caves. I have like a man cupboard in New York, and it's very small, but cozy, fun.
Because you live in New York and then you shot the film in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What was it like to shoot in a city where there's space, and also they also have, each neighborhood has their own flavor and stuff like that. If you can maybe kind of talk about that.
It was great because I live in New York, but I've been coming out to LA for work for a long time. So what I liked was showing like the working LA, different neighborhoods, Silver Lake and Venice Beach and stuff like that. And it was fun. I mean, we shot in real locations and, often had actual people walking down the street. Venice Beach, it was, there were actual people. Yeah, so it was great.
To have actors who, I guess, are also living in these neighborhoods too, like, was it easier for them to kind of go to set, and did they kind of understand the vibe that they had?
Jason Segel rides a Vespa around, in actuality, around LA. So he would just tool up and, we'd pray that he wouldn't get in an accident when he had to be on set.
Your cast, I just have to ask, how did you pitch them first, and was it through relationships that you had with them prior, or was it the script, or what kind of?
I had known Paul Rudd for about 10 years, and we were friends. We'd never worked together, but I always wanted to work with him. And Segel I met on this TV show called Undeclared, and I thought he was just one of the funniest, weirdest actors I'd ever worked with. And so we didn't really think about anybody else for those parts. And when you're friends with these guys, it's a little easier to call them up or send them the script and just, meet and talk about it. And then everybody else, I knew a lot of the cast, and some of them were new to me, and we just kind of assembled the funniest people we could imagine and put them in the movie.
I have to ask, one of the more interesting casting choices is Jamie with John, and how did you get those two together? And did you know that when they were going to get together, they were going to have this kind of fire that they do have on screen?
I hoped that they would. I mean, they're both big personalities. And, you couldn't have Jamie without John and John without Jamie. You needed that kind of combination to have a lot of yelling and screaming, but also as characters, they love each other. So we need, I think they're both really good actors, and also they terrify me. So that's what I wanted to work with them both.
Working with Paul and Jason, then, were there moments where can they go off script, or
Sure.
were you pretty, like you got to?
No. This was a very loose atmosphere, a lot of improvisation. Yeah, I mean, some scenes we did exactly as scripted, and then others we just threw the script away, and they would start improvising, or I would yell out ideas. It was a free for all on the set.
I think a lot of people are going to be quoting this film because of all the funny, lines. Paul's so uncomfortable, and so he says these really random things that I don't know. It's really random and funny, and so I think a lot of people are going to be quoting that. So,
cool.
What were kind of the fun things that you kind of learned, or maybe you weren't expecting him to say?
Yeah, Paul. I love that kind of awkward stuff, and then Paul is a master of the awkward phrase. So there was "latris on the menjay" Paul made up. I have no idea what that means to this day, but so I think it means like "I'll see you later" in Paul Rudd speak. Totes my goats was another one that. Paul just, he was probably a pretty awkward guy in high school, I think, and he channeled some of that to the movie.
It's kind of scary to watch this guy really, fall hard on a screen, and so to have an actor who's willing to go there. What was it like to direct somebody who's like...
Paul is quite a fearless actor. He's really like the least self-conscious performer that I've ever worked with, and he doesn't care about falling on his face, and I think that's what makes him so endearing. And, the character is also self-aware. He knows he shouldn't say totes my goats, but he does, and he kind of cringes afterwards. And that's what I think audiences kind of respond to Paul's character so strongly.
One of the coolest things is also having these women who are so honest with each other, and you're kind of exposing, the fact that women actually tell each other more stuff than maybe guys do. And so having this collective of really smart actresses come on and do the things that they did, what was it like working with Rashida and Jamie and the rest of them?
Yeah, they're great. I mean, they brought a lot of their own personality to the role. And my theory as a man was that women are more open talking about sex and things like this with each other than men are. And I think they agreed with me on that and would just go further than I could even imagine. So, they had a lot of fun. I mean, there's a ladies' night scene that we shot, and I mean, those 8 women sat around the living room set and talked for about 14 straight hours. And they still hang out, actually. It was unbelievable.
That's awesome. I just have to ask, because in Asia, maybe we don't have the same reference, but Rush. What is the significance of a band like that?
In America and Canada and probably a lot of Europe, I mean, Rush is this kind of, they're not a cult band because they're big. I mean, they've sold millions of albums, but they're a guy-centric band and a certain kind of guy, probably a lot of math and science students, people who appreciate precision. They're amazing musicians, and I feel like if you like Lord of the Rings, you'll probably like Rush as well.
Really?
They're into, elves and woodland creatures and things like that.
And to get Rush to perform on, what was that like to shoot that scene? And how much of a fan are Jason and Paul to the music?
That was a really exciting day because I'm a big fan of Rush. That's why I wrote them in the movie. And Rudd is as well. He and I were like, 15-year-old girls at a Jonas Brothers concert when they showed up. We really were excited to meet them. Siegel, he's younger than us, which is why we hate him. But he didn't know them as well, but he got into them for sure.
Well, actually, when I was watching the jam scene, all I could remember was Siegel doing the drum stuff in Freaks and Geeks. There's this whole moment. And so what was that like shooting this whole jam sequence where everybody gets to do this air guitar? I mean, do you do that?
I do that on a nightly basis, just with myself. It's horribly embarrassing.
And have you done an air guitar band with the rest of the guys then?
No. But Rudd will pretty much do an air guitar or air bass anytime you ask him. If you ask him to slap the bass, he'll do it.
I will ask him then. Thank you very much for that tip.
Yeah.
Really cool talking to you.
You got it. Yeah, likewise.